Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about narcissism and bosses. So let's get into it. So the question in question today was a story. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. So, hi Frederick. Background is that I've been working for 3 to 5 years as a developer. Thanks for all the videos and advice. I've learned a lot from your channel and it has taken me very far in my career. Oh, thank you so much. I feel very happy to hear that my little hobby channel has helped you out, mate. I'm working with a very controlling boss, a narcissist, and I'm kind of stuck because I love the company. It has a real culture, flexibility, and growth. But this boss has a lot of influence and the company overcome the company and the stakeholders. We had a great start together as I was one of the first developers and then the team grew. However, I feel I am at the back of the queue at everything. My inputs are ignored, and he is causing me a lot of anxiety and depression. I agree with the importance of soft skills and trying as much as possible to better myself, but this boss is not helping with the situation. What do you suggest? So what I wrote to this subscriber was that the first thing I think we need to define here, you and me, because I felt I'm not, I might be reading into this, but I felt like when the subscriber touched on that, I agree that soft skills are of importance. Well, mate, the soft skills doesn't mean that you should be unhappy. So let's back that up a little bit just to really get that thing out of there. I know that you have heard me say more than once that there is a enormous value in having soft skills. It is in fact so important to have soft skills that by a certain point in your career you will not be able to progress without them. No matter how good your coding is, at some point you're going to have the ability to influence other people and direct your communication, and that is what the soft skills are there to help you with. The soft skills are not there for you to feel bad or like be a doormat or be a people pleaser. That's I have another video about that where I'm trying to define how to train your soft skills and the difference between soft skills and just being sociable. And I mean, even being sociable is not the same thing as being a people pleaser. Now, I'm fully aware of that it's not that easy to stand up to your boss, but what I'm saying is that if somebody's making you feel bad, that's not you having soft skills, that's you being a doormat or being mistreated. Soft skills would mean that you actually have the communication skills to clearly communicate your ideas and to influence people in a direction. I mean, I wanted to say a positive direction, but it doesn't have to be a positive direction because uh, this boss of yours, I mean, being a manager doesn't necessarily mean that you have soft skills, but he or she does actually have the ability to influence people, as you said, as the subscriber was saying. There is a lot of influence from this person in the company and the stakeholders, and that is soft skills. Like this person's influence over the company is due to one part, of course, seniority and so forth, but also because of these soft skills, because without them nobody would hear this individual out. Now, what you have to face is, in my experience, there are only three things that you can do when you're dealing with a bad boss. Apart now from quitting, that's the obvious answer here. I understand that that may not be something that you might want to do because, as the subscriber was stating, he really likes this company. Overall, it's a nice company, and that makes this even harder. But that's always an option. You always have to remember that all the other things that I'm going to tell you, they are going to require energy from you. They're going to require you to go out of your comfort zone, and it's going to require you to fight a battle, all of them. And there is no way for you out of this apart from fighting a battle. And that what you should know about that is that in of itself is a risk, and it's going to take energy. And if you don't have that energy, your only option is to look for another employment somewhere where you feel more at home. And each person have their own level of energy, like how much energy do they have to invest, because that's the thing about having tension at work. It's something it seeps away your energy and you get tired. Some people are better at dealing with it and some people are worse, and you have to decide for yourself how much you're going to invest. So first thing first, the best option is to see if you can resolve the issue, of course, because if your manager has an issue with you or your boss is mistreating you, there might be other people who are experiencing this. Now, in my personal opinion, usually the only way to deal with the manager, and trust me, I have had some draconian managers in my career so far, and even this is not even guaranteed. If you want to deal with a higher up that is a little bit full of themselves and you have a really like a tall company structure, it's gonna be down to you having the ear of someone at their level or ideally higher. In other words, you need to talk to their boss. You have to go around them or in some fashion, and you need that person to be the sort of individual who will really hear you out, because that's the risk about filing a complaint or trying. I mean, ideally, if you can just go to this person and talk to them immediately, that's of course step number one. But I'm assuming that that's not the case here, because if this truly is a narcissist, it's almost impossible. You're never a true narcissist will never admit that they're wrong. They will rather die than admit to doing something that isn't socially beneficial for them. So that's like your only option. You kind of have to go to someone who is not a narcissist. And the other option would be to talk to people at your level and see if you have some people around you who feel the same way, because if you're a group of people, it's easier to attack the problem that way, and this will take a lot of energy, and it will not necessarily work. I'm very sorry to say that I was in this situation with a manager. Didn't really not much happened, and this was you would not believe the level of complaints this person had gotten and still somehow managed to keep their job. That's one option. The other option is if you have, now I'm assuming here you have 3 to 5 years of a developer experience. That is the range where this would be possible. If you're not there yet, that's fine. But if you are a fairly secure individual, secure in yourself, and you have some influence, like you have a proven value to the company's invested in you as an individual, you have proven that you're producing a lot of value so that you can actually take some risks, you can crush him or her. It's not that hard, actually. It's going to take energy, but you need to make sure, because the thing is, if you're going for this, if you're going to stand up to your bully, because this is literally the same thing, or crush your boss, you have to be damn sure that you do that in the right fashion, then that you can deal with this, like the social aspects of this, that you have the soft skills to deal with this, so that it doesn't backfire on you, because you can turn out to become the bad guy like that if you're not careful here. I have done this as well, and it worked really well for me. It actually went to the point where, in confidence, my manager came to me at two different instances and apologized and told me that I understand how horrible I've been, and I think about it every day, and I promise you I will make it up to you. This came from an actual person, that like an actual manager of mine who had these sorts of problems. And we talked about it, so that's the thing. The way to do this is that you need to have a backbone, a pretty strong one. You need to be the sort of person who can be sort of persuasive at the very least, and you need to have good, strong ideas, and you need to take the battle to this person every time you get into a disagreement. You basically have to stand your ground. I'm not saying that you should be a jerk. It's not about being a jerk. It's about being really damn confident in what you're saying and your experiences, and calling out your boss when they're doing something or saying something that isn't right, or it's not a good idea or something. Like, never folding, never ever showing weakness, or never ever allowing them to sense that you're gonna fold if they put pressure on you. If they have a bad idea, tell them it's a bad idea and tell them why it's a bad idea. Like, really speak your mind all the time and never show fear. This will eat at them. They will hate you for it. I promise you they will. But in my case, it gets to a point when they start to realize that they can't touch you. Like because that's the thing, right? The social aspects of human interaction is that some people, like, they feel the energy. If you fold, they know that they are in the power position. But if you are never ever folding, not saying that you should never listen, because that's not the thing here, right? You should listen to people, and as I said, don't be a jerk. If they have good ideas, listen to them and really hear them out. Act like a professional at all times. But if they can tell that they can't bully you in any way, really, and you really do produce a lot of value, that is a very, like, they may actually start to respect you in a different way. They might not, they will probably never look at you as an equal, but they realize that you're a force to be reckoned with. And that is, it's a pretty good, I have found this to be very helpful for myself. It works really well if you can pull it off. Third and lastly is going to be to distance yourself. This is the last resort, I would say, where you realize that you can't deal with this person. Like, there's no, like, they're never letting up, there's always a problem, etc., etc. In this scenario, switching teams, or in you don't have to switch teams, you can socially distance yourself as well. Haha, COVID reference. The best way to do this is just to try to figure out what the rules of engagement, that I like to call them, are. The rules of engagement just means that you're looking for where, like, to position yourself work-wise in a situation where you interact as little as humanly possible. It can be anything from that you just move your desk somewhere a little bit further away, so that you don't have these organic, like, because interactions usually work like a sphere. If you're close to the sphere, you might get pulled into a conversation or something like that. And in meetings and so forth, you just communicate clearly and effectively without, like, never giving anything that someone can latch on to, because there are these people who, when they're dealing with someone they don't like, they're just looking for a reason to fight. It's like those kids or teenagers, or I'm sorry to say sometimes even older guys, who sit in the park or at the pub and just they want to fight, so they try to, like, stare at people and then trying to find some small little thing they can latch onto and then start a fight over that whole thing. And that's exactly the thing that you want to avoid. You just want to have a very clean and efficient work situation with your manager, and determine the rules of engagement that are necessary in order for you to never actually have any friction between you. I've had this situation as well. It works really well, but it's also very energy and time consuming. It drains a lot of energy because you're in this, as I said, it's a tension in the air, and I personally don't deal with that all that well, because I don't like having tension with someone all the time. Some people do. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you're dealing with a narcissistic boss, number one, consider whether or not it's worth sticking around, because if you can't resolve this issue, it's gonna eat at you. You can, in some cases, you can deal with it, and if you are that sort of person, go for it. Otherwise, I would say there's three options. Number one, try to resolve the issue. Try to talk to their manager, try to talk to them, try to talk to people around you to see if there's someone else who feels this problem, and then have a communicate about it and see if you can deal with it that way. If it's a true narcissist, or like a person who doesn't want to hear you out, it's not going to go all that far, but at least you try. Second thing is crush them. Stand up to your bully. If you are a good developer, you know your stuff, you know that you have good ideas, and you've proven your worth to the company, they can't touch you. They think that they can touch you, but the thing is, a manager can't just fire you for, like, any arbitrary reason without looking really, really stupid themselves. And you can actually leverage that in many situations. Don't be a jerk, be professional, but stand up for yourself. Third and lastly, try to distance yourself. Try to create as much distance as possible between you, both, like, socially and physically, if at all possible, and make sure that you know all the things you need to have in place in order for any interaction to go without friction. Make sure that that's in place. It's very similar. Think of it as having an army sergeant who's going to inspect your bunk in the army, and they don't really like you. Just make sure that everything is completely spotless, and maybe, like, they'll just leave you alone because there's no little detail they can latch on to. Have a great day.